and he's unable to. So when he spoke it, it was like an insignificant hole, but then it becomes a giant cave that wants to go back into the hole. It can't. So it's like a man who speaks something, an enormity, and then he can't return it to the place from whence it came. So he has this nadama. And then he also came to a place, a valley, where he found a very cool breeze and the scent of musk. And he heard a voice, and he said, Ya Jibreel, what's this? He said, this is the voice of paradise. And it said, Oh Allah, bring me those who you have promised me, because how expansive are my rooms, and how expansive is my silk, and my ornaments, and my pearls, and all of my silver and gold, and the cups that I have, and all of the plates that I have, and all of the rivers of water and honey and milk, and my wine. And then Allah says to it, for you is every Muslim and Muslimah, every mu'min wa mu'minah, believing man and woman, وَمَنْ آمَنَ بِي وَبِرُسُلِي, and whoever believes in me and my messengers, وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَلَمْ يُشْرِكْ بِيَّ, and they don't associate with me, وَلَمْ يَتَّخِذْ مِنْ دُونِي أَنْدَادًا, and they don't make partners with me, and those who have fear of me, they will be safe. And whoever asks me, I will give him. And whoever loans me, I will reward him. And whoever trusts me, I will be enough for him. I am Allah, there's no God but me, and I do not, and I fulfill my promises. And the mu'minun have had success, and Allah is the best of creators. And when that is said to it, it said, Rabaytu, I'm pleased. And then he came to another valley, and he heard an evil sound, and he smelt a foul smell, and he said, what is this? And he said, this is the voice of Jannah. And it says, oh my Jahannam, thank you. And it says, oh my Lord, bring me what you promised me, because my chains are so many, and my restraints, and my sa'ir, and my hamim, and my bari', and my ghassaq, all of these things, and how deep is my pit, and how fierce is my fire. So bring me those you have pleased me, you have promised me. And Allah says to it, you have every mushrik and mushrika, every kafir and kafira, every khabith and khabith, every foul person, male and female, and every tyrant, and everyone who doesn't believe in the Yawm al-Hisab. And then he saw the Dajjal. Ru'ya ayn la ru'ya manam. He saw the Dajjal not in a vision, but in reality. And he said, and it was said to him, Ya Rasulullah, how did you see him? And he said, Thaylamani. I saw him like a large man, creature. وَهُوَ أَقْمَرُ هِجَانٍ, and he was extremely white. إِحْدَى عَيْنَيْهِ قَائِمًا. One of his eyes was out as if it was like a shiny planet. كَأَنَّ شَعْرُهُ أَغْصَانُ شَجَرَةٍ. His hair was like the branches of a tree. رَأَى عَمُودًا أَبْيَض كَأَنَّهُ لُؤْلُؤٌ. And then he saw a white pillar as if it was pearl. The angels were carrying it. And they said, what are you carrying? And he said, I'm carrying the pillar of Islam. Umirna an nada'ahu bisham. We're carrying the pillar of Islam, and we were commanded to place it in Sham, which is Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine. And the Damascans would say Damascus. But it's that whole area. And then, when that was the situation, he heard somebody say, Ya Muhammad, undurni, as'aruka falam yujibhu. He said, who's this Jibreel? And he said, this is the caller of the Jews. And had you answered him, your ummah would have become Jewish. وَبَيْنَمَا هُوَ يَسِيرُ إِدَّعَاهُ دَاعٍ عَنْ شِمَالِهِ. Then they called him on the left, and he said, Ya Muhammad, undurni, asaruka. And he didn't answer him. Same thing happened. And he said, Ya Jibreel, who is this? And he said, this is the proselytizer of the Christians. And had you answered him, your ummah would have become Christian. And this is a miraculous event, because, you think about this. The Christians almost have given up in proselytizing the Muslims. They've been trying for over 100 years. And even the Mormon, when I went to Brigham Young, one of the Mormons told me that the Mormons, who are probably the most successful at proselytizing, they've made it a science. They know how many houses you have to knock before you'll get in. Quite literally. They've done all these statistical studies. And they know how many conversions they'll get, like every 28th person, whatever. They've got it down to a science. And he told me that the Mormons, their missionaries are actually told that if you come to a Muslim house, don't waste your time. That's what he said, that they don't convert. And that's, there's a proof right there. And then he saw an old man calling him, and he said, Halumma ya Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam didn't go, and Jibril said, don't answer him. And then he said, who was that? And he said, the enemy of Allah, Iblis. And he just wanted you to incline towards, that's all he wanted, was just that you incline towards him. And then he said, Jibril said to him, he came and he met an old man on the side of the road. And he called the Prophet, and the Prophet didn't look at him, and he said, who was this, Jibreel? Oh, it was an old woman. He said, who was this old woman? And he said, this is what remains of the life of this world, the dunya, like that old woman. And then people who said to him, Assalamu alayka ya akhiru, Assalamu alayka ya hashiru. And they called him by the name. He's the final prophet, and also the hashir, the one who gathers the people. And Jibril said to him, return the salam. So he returned the salam, and they said the same thing. And then he said 3 times, and he said, who were these, Jibril? And he said, Ibrahim, Musa, Isa, alayhi salam. And then he passed by Musa, and he was praying in his grave at the Kathib Rahmar, at the red sand dune. And he was tall, and he had straight hair, and he was dark skinned. And as if he was from the Rijal Shanu'a, some tribe. And he said with his highest voice, Akramtuhu wa faddaltuhu. You have honored him, and you have preferred him. Allahu Akbar. And so he greeted him, and he returned the greeting. And he said, who is with you, Jibreel? Because he saw Jibreel honoring the messenger, preferring him. He said, who is with you? And he said, Ahmad, which is the name of the Prophet in the heavens, Ahmad. And he said, Marhaban bin Nabi al-Arabi, الذي نصح لأمته ودعا له بالبركة وقال سل لأمتك اليسرى. He said, welcome, O Arabian Prophet, the one who gave good counsel to his ummah and called them with barakah. And then he said, ask your ummah, ask ease for your ummah. And then they went on, and Jibreel said this was Musa ibn Imran. And he said, who was he? Man yu'atib? Qala yu'atibu rabbahu. Allahu A'lam. That was about the preference. And this goes back to a long debate between the Jews and the Muslims about Musa alayhi salam and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Many of the Jews historically in the Ummah questioned the preference of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam over Musa and argued extensively with the Muslims about that. And then he passed by a tree, and under it was a sheikh and his children. And this is also from the hadith in which Ibrahim alayhi salam, any child that dies in Islam, or the mushrikeen, their children when they die, they go into the habana of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim takes care of them until the parents, if they're mu'mins, take them. And so he also said to the Prophet ﷺ, Ibrahim asked, who is this? And he said, it's your son Ahmed. And he said, Marhaban bin Nabi al-Arabi al-Ummi, by the unlettered Arabian prophet, بلغ رسالة ربه ونصح لأمته يا بني إنك لاق ربك الليلة وإن أمتك آخر الأمم وأضعفها فإن استطعت أن تكون حاجتك أو جلها في أمتك ففعل ودعا له بالبركة. So he gave him nasiha. He said, oh my child, you're going to meet your Lord tonight, and your ummah is the last of the ummah and the weakest of them. So if you're able to ask your need tonight, or most of it for your ummah, then do it. And he made dua to give him barakah. And then he came to Bayt al-Maqdis. And this is where the Prophet ﷺ enters it, and he prays with all of the prophets. There's a mu'adhin, and the prayer is established, and the prophets pray behind him. And in the Sahih Hadith, he met all of the arwah of the Anbiya. And they all praised their Lord. And Ibrahim a.s. said, Alhamdulillah alladhi attakhadhani khalila wa a'tani mulkan azima. Praise be the one who made me his friend and gave me great dominion. وَجَعَلَنِي أُمَّةً قَانِتًا. And he made me alone an ummah, that I was qanit, obedient to Allah, and I was taken as an example. And he freed me from the fire, and he made the fire for me cool and safe. And then he met Musa praying to his Lord, and he also said, Alhamdulillah alladhi kallamani taklima wa ja'ala halaka fir'aun wa najata bani Israel ala yadi. Praise be the one who spoke to me and destroyed Fir'aun at my hands, and Bani Israel was saved at my hand, and he made my ummah an ummah that was righteous and guiding to the truth. Min ummati, he made some of my ummah righteous and guiding to the truth. ثُمَّ إِنَّ دَاوُدَ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامَ أَثْنَى عَلَى رَبِّهِ. Dawood also praised Allah and for giving him the ability to transform iron, and also giving him subjugation of the mountains, and also of the hearing the birds praise, and gave him wisdom and the ability to speak. And then he met Musa, who praised him for giving him the subjugation of the winds and for all of the shayateen, and they would do what he commanded them to do. And he goes on. And then he met Isa, who praised him for making him his word and making the likeness of him like Adam a.s., who he created from dust, and taught him the book and the wisdom and the Torah and the Injil, and he made him with the ability to heal the sick and the leper, and to bring the dead to life with the power of Allah. And he raised him up and purified him and preserved him and his mother from shaitan, the accursed shaitan, and he did not give shaitan any inroad into him. And then he praised, and then each prophet praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with some good praise. And then all of them, and then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, all of you have praised Allah, and now I will praise Allah. And he said, Alhamdulillah alladhi arsalani rahmatan lil alameen. Praise be to the one who sent me as a mercy to all the world. وَكَفَّةً لِلنَّاسِ بَشِيرًا وَنَذِيرًا. And for all of humanity as a warner and a bringer of good tidings. وَأَنزَلَ عَلَيَّ الْقُرْآنِ. And who had revealed to me the Qur'an. فِيهِ تِبْيَانٌ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. In it is a clarification of everything. وَجَعَلَ أُمَّتِي خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ. And he made my ummah the best ummah that has come out for people. وَجَعَلَ أُمَّتِي وَسَطًا. وَجَعَلَ أُمَّتِي هُمْ الْأَوَّلُونَ وَالْآخِرُونَ. And he made my ummah the first and the last. وَشَرَحَ لِي صَدْرِي. And he expanded my breast. وَوَضَعَ عَنِّي وِزْرِي. And he removed the weightiness from me. وَرَفَعَ لِي ذِكْرِي. And he raised up my remembrance. وَجَعَلَنِي فَاتِحًا خَاتِمًا. And he made me the opener and the sealer. فَقَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامُ بِهَذَا فَضَلَكُمْ مُحَمَّدٌ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. This is why he was preferred over all of us. عليه السلام. Mm-hmm. About what? No, that's Suleiman. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Solomon. Oh, all right. Yeah, that was a mistake. And then they talked about the last hour, and each one of the prophets spoke about it. So what happens after the prayer then is he was given 3 drinks, one of milk, one of wine, and one with honey. And he, in one riwayah it says that he looked to Jibreel alayhi salam and he told him take the milk. And he drank the milk. And he said, أَخْتَرْتَ الْفِطْرَةِ, you chose the fitrah. Right? If a child was given the choice between milk, honey, or wine, it would choose milk. It would prefer the milk. And so he chose fitrah, and he said, had you taken the wine, your ummah would have gone astray. And only a few of them would have followed you. And then from here, the mi'raj happens. Now, I'll say a couple things. One, the Isra is mujma' alayh. There's no khilaf about it. In other words, if you disbelieve it, you're not a Muslim. The mi'raj is khabar ahad. But there's a great deal of the ahad. They don't reach tawatur, and some will actually say that they do. But they're too strong to reject them. And so it's, we believe in the mi'raj also. And somebody should not disbelieve in the mi'raj. But if you did meet somebody that said they didn't believe in that, it's the Isra that gives takfir. In other words, the mi'raj does not make somebody a kafir if they say that. Whereas the Isra, they're out of Islam. So that's an important point. During the night, he saw them at different places and at different times. So he saw them at the Bayt al-Maqdis. He saw them prior to that. Like Musa alayhi salam, he saw him in his grave. And then he saw them as he was moving up through the heavens. The prophets. Well, this riwayah, which is Al-Ghayati and Al-Shami, this is the order that they feel is the best order. They were in hell. Yeah. And it was before he got to Bayt al-Maqdis that he saw these things. According to this riwayah, which is considered the soundest of them. But all of these, some of these have weakness in them. They're related. The muhaddithun piece them together from a lot of different transmissions. And these are considered the best of the piecing together. All right? So there's hadiths in which the Prophet ﷺ would just tell one incident. Like he'd say, I saw people, this was happening to them, that's all he said. And so the muhaddithun attempted to reconstruct these different events. Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, this is not, the whole event of the Isra and the Mi'raj, you cannot relate it to linear time. Aisha radiallahu anhu said that, the bed was not warm, it didn't even lose its heat during this time. So in other words, you can't think of it in terms of our understanding of time. The Prophet ﷺ obviously went into some completely other realm of experience. This is not linear time. It's a completely different realm. And if you try to apply it to what we understand in terms of events and movements and position, I mean, these people were in different places and different things. And the Prophet ﷺ was seeing, these are ayat. Allah says he saw the big signs of his Lord. He had access to the unseen. مَا زَاغَ الْبَصَرُ وَمَا طَغَى. His eye didn't waver, it didn't swerve on that night. He was seeing incredible things. This was a big event. It was a big event. And this is also the turning point. And one of the things to remember about this is this happens at a point where the Prophet ﷺ is literally, he's at his lowest point in the dunya terms. they're making fun of him. The Meccans they're doing whatever they want. The Thaqifis can do whatever they want. There's a complete dejection going on. And here's something outwardly, this man, they're seeing him as a completely insignificant person that they can treat without any fear. They can treat him in a way that they wouldn't treat their worst enemies. And that's what they're doing. And so what's happening in this event is Allah is teaching us something extraordinary, which is the person who, despite all of his dunya, he now has no wealth, his wife, his beloved wife is gone, his protector is gone, he's completely in a state of dejection in his own city, and Allah is raising him up to this incredible status. So this is an amazing event. And obviously, once you've seen what the Prophet saw, what significance does all of that dunya have? Right? He's seeing paradise, he's seeing hell, he's seeing the messengers of Allah, he's seeing this whole other realm of reality, right? The unseen world. And that next to dunya, it just loses all of its significance. So this is a very, very big event. Mm-hmm.
All the prophets, did it specify was that in all 125?
Allahu A'lam. Yeah, how many? But it did say all of the prophets. And then again, as he's seeing more, there's other riwayas here. He's seeing people that, again, there's carrion and then there's meat. And he asked, they're eating the foul thing, and he asked, who were these people? He said, these are fornicators who permit what Allah has prohibited. And then, again, many of these events, he sees all these different peoples, and he asks who they are, and he gets answers that relate to people who eat the wealth of the orphans, all of these things. So he's seeing what happens to people in the next world. Yeah, there's some difference of opinion about that. But yeah, the prayer was given. Al-Fatiha is there. And the Prophet ﷺ, what happens is he goes through the heavens, he meets the different prophets. We could go on. This is a really long story. And it's actually this month, by the way. This is the month of Isra, 27th of Rajab. Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah. 50 prayers. What happens is the Prophet ﷺ goes through each heaven and he meets different prophets at each heaven. And he meets Harun alayhi salam, he meets Musa, he meets Isa alayhi salam in the fourth heaven. And then finally he gets to the lote tree of the furthest limit. And he sees it and he said that it was like the ears of an elephant, and he said he'd never seen anything more extraordinary. And this is at the point, and it's also interesting that in ancient Indo-European tradition, the lote tree was symbolic of the point where rational thought stops. In other words, the intellect, there's nothing the intellect can comprehend beyond that. And so he goes to the lote tree, the furthest limit, and nobody can go past that, and he's allowed to go past it. Even Jibreel alayhi salam has to stop at that point. And he goes beyond that. And then there's difference of opinion about what actually took place. Did he see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or was he aware of the presence of Allah? Aisha radiallahu anha said he did not see Allah, and she said, it makes my hands stand on its end to hear somebody say that. Abu Dhar and other of the really big Sahaba, including Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, said that he did see Allah, not with the eye, which is temporary, but with the eternal eye, al-ayn al-baqiyah. Allah ta'ala alam. I think that's the dominant opinion, in spite of Aisha radiallahu anha and all her knowledge. That is the dominant opinion. When he was asked, did you see Allah? He said, رَأَيْتُ نُورًا, I saw light. So Allah Ta'ala alam. When he was given 50 prayers, he goes back to Musa alayhi salam, and Musa asks him, what happened? And he told him, I was given 50 prayers. He said, it's too much. My ummah couldn't even fulfill their 2 prayers. Go and ask for takhfif. And he asked again for takhfif. He was given 5. And according to the riwayah, he goes back and forth between Musa alayhi salam and his Lord. And some of the ulama say that the secret of this is the honoring in being entered into the divine presence. And this is an indication of the closeness that the Prophet ﷺ has. This is the Habib. In other words, if you look at it in dunya terms, that when the king commands something, you just go out and do it. You don't go and say, oh, can we negotiate? Right? And so the idea here is that really it's the closeness of the Prophet ﷺ with Allah that enables this type of communication. And then there's an important wisdom in this also, in that finally when it's 5 prayers, Allah tells the messenger, these are actually 50 prayers, because each one is worth 10 prayers. And so we're given the reward of 50 prayers, even though there's 5 prayers. Now, when this entire evening or this event is over and the Prophet actually comes back to Mecca, he immediately wants to tell people. And in fact, he meets Hani and he tells her what happened, and then she says, right, don't tell people because they'll lie, they'll deny it and they'll insult you. And he says, by Allah, I'm going to tell them. And he went to the mosque and he told those people, and immediately now they're ecstatic because this is it for them. And the first person they go to is Abu Bakr, because more people became Muslim with him than anybody else. And if he'll deny the Prophet, everybody's going to deny the Prophet. And actually some Muslims did apostate from this event. They couldn't, because here's something where the Arabs took a month to get there and a month to get back. And they're being told the Prophet ﷺ made this in one night. And they have no access to jet planes or, right? I mean, really, it's completely beyond their understanding to be the idea of traveling vast distances in short times. So they go to Abu Bakr and they say, oh, do you know what your companion's saying now? And he says, what's he saying? And he says he went to Jerusalem last night and he came back in the same night, a journey that takes us a whole month. What do you say? And this is the methodology of the Muslim. Abu Bakr says, in qalahu faqad sadaq. If he said it, it's true. In other words, I don't trust you telling me this news. You're not a source that I can trust. But if he did say that to you in truth, and he's going to go find out, I believe him. And they said, what? They can't believe it now. What? You believe him that he went? He said, I believe him something more extraordinary, that news comes from him from 7 heavens. So why is it that he went to Jerusalem? I should be so shocked. And so obviously this is for them. And from that day forward, he was known as a Siddiq, which also means the friend. Because the friend is the one that believes you when everybody else disbelieves you. Right? But it also means the one who believes. Mm-hmm. Ibn al-Hajj said it's a good night, and he said the early people used to honor it. Those nights are good nights. That's why they maintain them, the ulama. I mean, had they been insignificant or just other nights, I don't think the ulama would have kept the dates of those nights. So you're going to get, there's khilaf about it, like the 15th of Sha'ban, and Imam al-Awza'i felt it was a good night to stay up and do night prayers. Imam Malik said it was makruh. So you get some khilaf about those issues. But generally, the ulama say that they're good nights to if you want to fast during that day or do night prayers, things like that. Right?